Hello guys, if you like my awesome gaming videos, my programming and web development courses, my editing courses and editing videos, and my tech talks and tech guidance, then you can consider subscribing to my channel and click on this bell icon to stay. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So this is actually the front-end part. In the previous part, I already built the Django REST API. Must watch this video. So this is the previous tutorial that I made for you guys. I created all the database and test our API, created our API, all of those things. We added our middleware so that we can work with our front-end application, so that we can consume all of the data in our React application. So in this particular video, which is the part 2, I'm going to work with the Redux setup and get the data, okay, from the REST API. So how can you do that? So first we need to install some packages, and there is a lot of hectic things for React and Redux integration because there are lots of libraries to use. So this is the hectic part you have to understand, and that's why many people think it is very complicated, because there are lots of libraries. As you can see, we need Axios, Redux, React Redux, Redux Thunk, and React Router DOM and Bootstrap. Lots of things we need to build React project with Redux. Okay, also we need to install Redux DevTool extension to see what's going on under the hood when we change some states. Then we have to set up our Redux store, where all of our data, reducers, and middleware would be stored in the store. Then we need to set up our middleware and create our reducers, action, constant, lot of things. The fourth step is add the provider to the root application, so that every single application get the data directly from the store. Okay, and then we need to consume the data in React component using the dispatch. So these are the some steps that you need to follow. Just don't watch this tutorial like a movie. Just practice, and step by step you need to understand what's going on under the hood in this Redux tutorial. So this is our main project file, Django React Redux for the YouTube, and here you need to just open our terminal and create our React application. So npx create React app, and our front-end application name should be client. Okay, it is the best name for front-end and backend. In the backend I name it as server. Now the front end should be named as client. Okay, and we need our Axios library to work with our API backends like HTTP request. We need to fetch data by get request, post data by post request, and update data by put, and delete by delete. Okay, so Axios will handle all of those things, API thing. Okay, and API configuration. And then we need to install the Redux that we already have here. If we check it out, this is the Redux. And then we need React Redux. I already give all the links in the description below. Then we need Redux Thunk. Okay, and this is the official guide for the Redux Thunk. You can install it from here. React Router version, this is actually the React Router version 6, so that we can navigate from one page to another page. And finally we need React Bootstrap here. As you can see, React Bootstrap.github.io. Here you'll see you can get all the component, all you need, like card, carousel, drop down, all of the things that you have. And here I'm going to use this snap bar thing, so it will work just fine without any issues. And you can use any other customizations if you need. Okay, so this is a very good package. And also you need Redux DevTool extension. I already have it, so I didn't download it, but in case you have to download it, this is the Redux DevTool extension, so that we can see what's going on under the hood and what are the states are changing. This is very important. And the last thing is Redux DevTool extension helper. So you need that npm install -- save Redux DevTool extension, and you see the documentation how you need to write it. So our project is ready for the React application. So let's open it with VS Code. So as you can see, our project setup is done. We need to we are in the client, as you can see, Redux, but we need to have two terminal. One is for backend, one is for frontend. So let me run our backend first, cd and -- so we are in our backend now, cd server. So we are in the server, and let's open it up. Python manage.py run server. So before that, make sure you have your XAMPP, and you need to install that XAMPP if you don't have. This is a very important for our backend, especially with the MySQL connection. So I just start our XAMPP server to work with our backend, and Python manage.py run server. So let's open it up and let's see what's going on. So let me check our backend. So as you can see, our backend is working perfectly without any issues. So now we need to install our libraries. As you can see from this list, we need to install every single thing. So first one is Axios. So go to the front end terminal, and here write npm I Axios for our HTTP call and HTTP handling. Then we need to just install our Redux. Then we need to install React Redux to work and combine React with Redux. We need that. As you can see, we need to install that package. And for the installation, as you can see, npm install React Redux. Okay, we are installing this. And then we need Redux thunk, npm install Redux thunk. So React Redux, and we need Redux thunk. For this, Redux thunk is very important for asynchronous call. Now we are working with our HTTP request for using the Axios, so it should be asynchronous call. So Redux thunk is very important for that. Then we need React router DOM. Okay, so let me go to our documentation, official documentation for React router. And as you can see, React router package and basic installation. Here I have, if I zoom in, npm install React router DOM at version 6. You can install version 5 as well, but I recommend version 6. Here we'll do our routing, we'll do our routes, all of the things you're going to learn here. We're going to use link to navigate from one page to another page. React router DOM and React bootstrap for our UI. Here, let's check it out and get started. For the introduction, as you can see, npm install React bootstrap. So let me copy this thing and React router DOM, and finally React bootstrap. So this is the thing, it is very important. So all of the stuffs and all of the libraries will be downloaded now, as you can see. So within this time, I need to delete something that we don't need. I don't need app.test, this file. We don't need index.css, need setup test. Okay, so these are the two files that we don't need, and even the index.css, we don't need that. Okay, let me delete all of those things, and they are done. So it's clean, perfect. Everything is working now perfectly. In app.js, we need to just clean everything, and here in the div, we have to just delete everything. We just need one more thing. Okay, and we need to create our project setup, and into new folder, we just call it as components. In the components, I will have all my components, and in the new folder, I will have my Redux setup, and for that I need to use actions. So based on some actions, we're going to do some work, and here I'm going to name it as project actions.js. And then we're going to create one more folder here for reducer. I'm going to name it as project reducer, and create another file called project reducer.js. Okay, here we'll have all of our reducers. Here we will have all of our actions, and we need to have all of our constant in one folder. So constants, and here we'll have our constants, project constants.js. Okay, so based on this constant and action, we're going to do some stuff, and that will change all of our data into the reducers. Okay, and one more thing very important, which is in the root of the source. Here in this folder structure, you need to create a new file called store.js, where you will store all of our project data, so that we can access it into any component. So our first component should be named as project lists.jsx. Here we will have all of our projects. So RAFCE. So if you just write it this shorthand, you're going to have a very simple functional component. We're going to use all the functional component here basically, and this will give us all the project list from our API, and all of those things is coming from this REST API. As you can see, this is the information we want to show in a card view here. So this is very important, and here we need to just in the app.js, here we need to pass this project list. As you can see, it is imported perfectly. So let me remove everything, and it will work perfectly without any issues. I hope so. And let's go to package.json, and let's see all of our libraries are installed. As you can see, Axios is installed, bootstrap installed, and npm.js, React installed, React bootstrap, and router DOM, Redux scripts, Redux thunks, all of those things is installed properly. I think one more thing is left, which is Redux DevTool extension helper. So let me just copy this thing, Redux DevTool extension, which is very important. So just install this. So the full setup is a little bit complicated, and for many people, especially for the beginners, we need one folder for action, one folder for holding all the component in the React. We need a reducer folder. If you have multiple reducer, you can also use multiple file here. And we need a store to store all of our information here. And we need to do a lot of stuff like that. Let me check if our application is working now. npm start. There is an error, so we need to solve this. So if we go to the index.js, where our main app is loading, as you can see, app.js, this is the thing that is loading this particular functional component of our app, this is the root app of our main component. And we need to go to our index.js. Don't need to have this index file because we just deleted the index.js. Now we need to add React Bootstrap thing. So if I go to the React Bootstrap, we need to just import something. This is the thing. For CSS, we need to import bootstrap css main.css. Okay, this is the thing. Index.js file is the root file of our application, so we need to import this CSS link. Okay, then all of our application can use this React Bootstrap. Okay, so this is very important, and make sure you have the Bootstrap installed. As you can see, React Bootstrap installed on your application, otherwise it is never going to work. So this is very simple. So now we need to work on our application. As you can see, all of our project list is showing here, and if I change anything in our component project list, so suppose this is inside an h1 tag, you will see all of the things. Okay, so as you can see, it's changed. So let me work with it, and let's change with h2 here. Now we need to create our constant. So if I go to the constant, we need to export it also, and in the constant we need to create a variable, and we'll call it as get. It should be project underscore request. Okay, and we're gonna name it as same as this is get project request, and we can copy this stuff and just write it here. We need three things. One is for request, and then for getting all the data, what will happen when we get all the data from our API, and if it is fails to get the data, what will happen. So we need to have three cases. So let me delete this thing, and this is for success. If the API success to get the data, then this action will be occurred. And suppose if there is any failure, okay, this thing will work. So this is the three constant to get the project. So we need to use this requests and get the success and get the failure, and based on those actions we need to do some work. So then we need to go to our reducer, and here in the project reducer we need to create something. We are creating constant, and we are using this constant in our reducer because based on those actions we're gonna do some stuff, and then we create our actions. Okay, that will work with our UI component, and here we're gonna use those things. So those are the thing is very interconnected, and how you can use this thing is very important, and how you use it. So here I'm going to create a reducer, export const, and I'm going to call it as project lists reducer. So this reducer takes two things. One is it has to change the state. So state is equals to, it has projects data. Suppose array of project information. Suppose if I go to our API, you will see lots of things regarding this. If I go to there, as you can see, we have list of information, array of object. So we'll hold array of object here. Now in the beginning we don't have anything, so it's empty. So it takes this state, and it will change state based on our action, and those action, and it should be lowercase action, and then we'll have our arrow function. Let me finish it, and based on this action, now which action? If I go to our constant here, get project request, and this action would be triggered. Okay, based on those action we're going to do some steps. Okay, so that's why you need those actions. So now I do use switch case, and switch case takes some parameter action dot type. Now we are specifying which type of action we are using. Now here I'm going to use get projects request. Okay, get project request. So this is the action. This action we triggered, get project request, and in the reducer, based on this action we do some stuff, which is we're gonna return loading is equals to true, because when you are requesting something it is loading. Okay, and loading is equals to true, and success is equals to false because it is not success yet, and our project should be empty, because in the beginning when you are requesting something, there is nothing in the project's array, and that's why the success is false and loading is equals to true. This is stuff again and paste it. And second request is actually get project success. When the success API call is done, we get all the information, then the project's array will have data, and that would be coming from the action.payload. So payload is the thing that holds the data inside the project's array. Then we get all the information in our project's array, then we can consume it in our front end. Okay, so that's the thing that reducer do. So based on some action, the state is changing and state is holding some information. Okay, so this is very important. We can copy this stuff and paste it here. Get project fail. When the project fail to load something, then the loading is equals to false, success is equals to false, and in the project we get some error. When the project request is success, then the loading is equals to false and success is equals to true. It is success. Okay, and the first case loading is equals to true, success is equals to false, and the last case loading is equals to false because it is not loading, it failed to add some data or should show some data, then the success is equals to false. Okay, so it is working perfectly. So here we need to change something. Instead of project, we will have our error, and we're gonna hold all of our error in the payload. Okay, this is the thing we're gonna show in the front end, whichever thing happened. If the something is fail, you're gonna show all the information. Okay, and in the default we're gonna return our state. Okay, so this is our main reducers. Now we need to work with our actions, and before going to some actions, I need to just set up our store.js. So this is very important. Here the store management would be working. Okay, so first we need to import. This is very important, just watch it very carefully. We need to import three things: combine reducer, and we need to import create store, and we need to import apply middleware, so that we can apply some middleware on top of it, and store for storing all of our data, and use the reducer that we have created. As you can see in the reducer, this is the thing that we need to use in our store. So next thing we need to import our thunk. Okay, import thunk for asynchronous task in the Redux applications, we need that. Then we need to import Redux DevTool extensions. We need to import compose with DevTools so that we can use our DevTools. Okay, so this is all the thing is very important. Then you just call our reducer. This is the root reducer. You can call it root reducer. I'm just calling it normal reducer, and it's gonna handle all of our reducer. Our reducer name was project reducer. So let's use this thing. Okay, it is project reducer, project list reducer. So we need to import those things. So you're gonna import from dot we need to go to our project reducer, and here I'm gonna have our project reducer, project list reducer. Here I'm gonna use this thing, project lists. We'll have our project list reducer. So this reducer is coming from our reducer file, and we just call it project list. Okay, now we need to get our middleware is equals to thunk. We just add thunk in the middleware. Okay, because we have to use this thing. Finally, we need to create our store. So in the store, we just call our create store here, create store, and store takes a lot of things. First it takes the reducer, then action, and lot of stuffs that we can do. So first it takes our reducer that we have created. This is the root reducer. We'll have our multiple reducer, like here we'll have our add project reducer. Add project reducer, and for adding all the information in the database, we need to use another reducer. So it can combine every single reducer that we have. Second step, it can take some initial data, like initial state. Okay, initial state. It can take some initial state. But here we don't have our initial state. But if you have any application where the authenticated user, if you want to hold their information, and based on that you're going to redirect, you can use those things. Compose with DevTools. and compose with DevTools can take some functions as a parameter, and it can take some API as well. So in here we need to apply our middleware. So this is the middleware that we get from our Redux. In this middleware you can add some middleware. You can use our this middleware, and we just use the spread operator here to get all of our middleware, and also including this middleware. Okay, so here we need to use our spread operator for the middleware, and the middleware is holding the thunk. Okay, so this is very important. So a composite DevTools can take a function, and the function it also take parameter as middleware. Okay, so this part is a little bit complicated, but when you get started with it and make 2 or 3 projects, this is very simple. So first we have our combine reducer to combine every single reducer. Okay, so this is very important, and here we need to just call it combine reducer. Okay, so combine reducer can do all of our stuff, so I just forgot it. This is very important. Then we have our middleware, and in the store we need to use our reducer, and in the composite dev tool we can apply our all of our middleware. Okay, in the middleware it takes some parameter, and this parameter we can pass this thunk. Now everything is set up properly. I think there is no problem whatsoever. Now we need to export default. We export default store, because we need to use it in some other files. So let's see our steps. Then we need to add our provider to the root application. So our root application is app.js, where we have our component project list. So it is holding inside the index.js. So in the index.js here I need to add something. We need to import provider. It is coming from the React Redux library. Okay, so we need one more thing. We need to import store from store. It's inside this folder or this file. Okay, so we need these 2 things. So first one, we need provider. So wrap all of our application, root application app.js inside the provider. Okay, and it takes a parameter store, and store is this store. Okay, this store that we got. So it is coming from this store. That's why I need to export this store. Okay, now what we'll do, all of our projects in the app.js will have all of our projects in all of our components. Okay, so all of our component can access this store. Okay, this is stored. So that's why we need this for our state management. Okay, so this is the main part where if Redux is very important, and when in every single complex application you're going to see the power of Redux. Okay, so I'm just using the normal Redux here. In the future videos I'm going to use the Redux toolkit also. So this is would be really easy for you to do all of our steps. Okay, with more perfect tutorial. So wait for this tutorial, but this is very important because you need to know the basic first, and then you're going to go to the advanced stuff. Now it's time to work with our UI component and our actions so that we can get all of our data. So let me go to our action.js file. So in the action.js project actions, now here we'll have our actions. So first action is get all the projects data from API. So we need to export constant list of, we can call it get list of projects. Okay, we're gonna name it like that, and it should be asynchronous function, and here we're gonna take one more parameter called dispatch. Okay, then it is finished. So this is it. It can be complicated for many users who don't understand those asynchronous functions and how they work. So basically we have our export constant, because exports constant because we need to use this thing in other part. In the app.js, in the component project list, here we need to call this project actions list to get all the projects. So that's why we need that, and it should be asynchronous function because it will call some API. And this dispatch is based on our dispatching event. It will do some stuff. So we have to get some data. So we're gonna use the try catch block here, and try catch block. So let's do this. And here in the try catch we need to write something called dispatch. In the dispatch it should be type as get project request. First it takes the request, then we need to write const data. It is coming from await, and we need to call our axios.get. We need to call our backend to axios.get. We need to pass our backend URL, which is this URL. Just copy this stuff and paste it. Now as you can see, this is await function, so it is asynchronous function. As you can see, that's why in the function we need to just use asynchronous function. And we also need dispatch, as you can see, so that we can handle our request for particular actions. Because in our reducer, as you can see, project reducer, if I just get this action, get project request, then the project is empty. When it is success, it will filled with data from the database and it will store inside the project. So based on our action, it is doing something. First we have to request, then when the data is coming from our API, that's when we need to use execute.get, and then we need to dispatch one more event that it is successful. Okay, that it is successful. So our type is actually this get project success. It is success. Now we need one more thing, which is data, or you can see payload. So here in the payload, and this payload is actually, if I go to the project reducer, this payload, as you can see, all of our thing, when we call our API, all of our data is coming from our database and is stored inside this projects array as an action.payload. In the action.payload we get all of our data. So this is when you go to the actions here, in the payload we need to pass the data that is coming from the database, which is this portion. Okay, so you can pass this. If you write it like this way, like response, and then you need to write it like response.data. Okay, because response hold all of our data, but I'm just doing it this way. This is object destructuring. It is much better and clean looking because we just need the data from the response, okay, by calling this REST API. So it is perfectly done. But if there is some error, what will happen? We need to handle this thing, error. So here we need to dispatch one more event, which is type get project fail. So when this happens, our payload will be filled with error dot message. It should be error dot response, and we'll have error dot response dot data dot message. Okay, so when the dispatch is failed, the get project request is failed, in the payload we'll have all of the response from the error response. Okay, so this is the thing that we're gonna show. And now is the perfect time to work with this, and we need to export it, export default, and we need to just, the name is get list of projects, get list of project. Okay, because we need to use this thing, we need to export those. So let me go to our main component here. As you can see, project list component. Here we need to pass those things, and we need to use lots of stuff here. Now here we need to get data from our store. So all of the API data is now stored inside this thing, because we have the reducer, and reducer have all the information, and we just call it as project list. Okay, project list, here we'll have all of the thing, and our project list reducer is assigned here, and in the store we have all the reducer is added here, so it is working fine. All of our data is inside this part. Now we need to access this thing inside this component, and for that we need to use const dispatch is equals to use dispatch, and it is coming from something called const use dispatch. Dispatch is coming from, I think it should be coming from Redux. Okay, we need one more thing, which is use selector, so that we can get the data. Okay, so these are the two things that we need. One is use dispatch, and one is to get the data. So for that we're gonna use this project lists, and this just write it normal project lists, and we're gonna call use selector, so that we can get the data. And the state, in the state we have something. So in the state we have store.js, we have this project list. Okay, so this project list, we need to call this thing, just copy this thing and paste here. So project list have all of the data that is coming from the API and is stored inside the project lists. Here we can just grab all the data that we need using the object destructuring, and here we're gonna use success, and here loading, and we can also have like projects. Now how this is coming, if I go to the reducer, so that's why reducer is very important. So all of the data is coming from the project. We can access those projects, and if it is success, success is equals to true and loading is equals to false. So we can get all of our information because we just assign this project list reducer inside this store.js. As you can see, now we can have all the information. As you can see, if I hover over it, I have loading, success, projects, all of the things. Okay, you get it right? This is the perfect thing you need to know. Now just go to our root application. Here we can access project success loading, and that would be coming from our project lists. So we get all of the information, and you can just call it normal project list because this is the variable and this is the state. Okay, now our data is filled with API data. Now we can access this thing. Console.log projects. Let me check what happens. Okay, let me check what happens. The thing is happening here. If I go to our Redux DevTool extension, top right, as you can see our state, and if I just zoom in a little bit, as you can see our project state, as you can see. So inspect here, you need to go to our Redux, and as you can see we have some action. Initially there is no action, as you can see, and if I go to our state, and as you can see we have our project list. In the project list, in the beginning we don't have anything. Now when we call our API on the page reload, let me see what happens. So here on page reload we need to use effect. Here I'm going to use our use effect, and this will take some parameter. And suppose first we have some array dependency here. So first we need to get the data on page load. So that's why you need that. Otherwise you don't see any information here. You don't see anything here. Okay, so we need to get it. So how can we get it? We need to dispatch something. So that's why this dispatch is very important. So which action we are dispatching? We are dispatching this action, get list of project. Okay, so we need that, get list of project, and it will call our API and get all of our data. Okay, so this is very important. So as you can see on page reload, it is calling get project request. It is just requesting for some information, then the project success. And now as you can see in the action, it type action project success, it is success. So after the success, in the payload we get all of our data. As you can see, we have our ID, thumbnail, title, category, all of our thing is coming here perfectly when we just call this dispatch. So we are dispatching some event. Which event? Get list of project from this action, and it is going to this API. It is giving all of our data, and we are holding inside this data, and our action type is success. Because it is success, that's why we get all the data. Okay, so in the reducer we have when there is success, we get data filled with action.payload and get all information in the projects array. We need to go there, and as you can see in the projects array, and if we go to store, here in the project list, this is the project list that we are assigning, project list reducer. Now it have all the things that we need. So we are getting this information here, and we just destructuring our project information, and we can console.log. When you console.log, you can see all of the things. Now this will work when the page reload. So we need to use effect so that we can get all the information, get list of project. Okay, then our data would be filled with information. So that's why in the payload we have array of information. As you can see, 3 array of object. The first one, second one, and third one. Okay, so all of the thing is successful. Now I need to show this information inside our this component and render all of those things. So for that I already have it. Copy the whole div, and because there is no time to design, you can copy the whole div from my GitHub portfolio. As you can see in the GitHub, we have every single code that we need here regarding this. I'll give the link below here in the description. So in the container, we need to import container, row, call, card, all of those things, okay, from our application. So this is for the Redux, and this is for the use effect. And now we need to import our import card from the React Bootstrap. We need row, we need column. Okay, we need a lot of stuff. We need a container as well, container. So let's check it out. We need card, container, link. We also need link. So import, if I go to link, it is coming from React.dom from one page to another page. When we go there, we can see, but there is no project detail page, so we don't need that. We don't need this. there is text decoration here, the class name is button success, and we can view this stuff. Okay, so this is the simple thing. Now we need to map project.map for each project. I hope you knew this, because this is just for beginner thing, React beginner project. If you see my Django and React application for full stack in the beginner course without Redux, you can see this is very stuff. I already discussed about it. You just map every single object in this projects array that we are getting information, okay, in this projects array. Then we just map it through each information. For card image, we are showing this in projects.thumbnail. How we can get this project.thumbnail. So if I go there in React application, as you can see, we get every single object like thumbnail, title, all of those things, category description inside this project object. We get the thumbnail for the image, for the title we get the project.title, and then for the category. And then we don't need to have a description inside this page, because this is for the detail page. Then we have the project demo, okay, the project demo, then target underscore blank, so that it doesn't go to another page, and our button name, and it is an anchor tag. Within anchor tag, it is using href, okay. And then we have our link to go to another page and view the descriptions. So that would be for the another part where I'm going to design our detail of the projects and do all of our stuffs. Now I think the problem is in the dependency array, I have to use this patch. So dependency is very important. Suppose I have an ID. So when this ID changes, this page will load again, and it will filled with data in the projects array with different data based on our ID. So based on our dispatch action, okay, it will get our data. If the dispatch action is get list of project, then it will get list of data. So that's why dependency array is very important, because based on this thing, we have to load the data every single time when the page reloads. The problem is actually this tag. We can't use the link tag unless we use the React router DOM package inside this portion. We have to use it, but I'm not gonna do it because I have to add one more page. Then I'm gonna show you how to route from one to another page. So this part is actually this to this portion. In the next part, I'm going to use all of this stuff. When you add all the data to the database, you see we need to create another page. Then we're going to use this navigation. But in this moment, I don't think I need something. Okay, so it's working. We just uncomment this link stuff, and I think it will work. As you can see, all of our data is loaded successfully without any issues. As you can see, this is the same thing that if we just click on demo, as you can see, we see the GitHub link for this project demo, and we see all the category and their title, all of these things, and their images as well. So this worked perfectly without any issues. And the next part, we're gonna integrate our add projects component and work with our adding, and we're gonna use our React router DOM package properly inside the app.js here. We need to integrate that. So till then, take care, bye bye. I'll see you in the next video with more awesome content. I hope you will understand a lot of things regarding all the packages and the libraries and their importance, and how to set up, how to add providers so that every component can use their applications, and how to consume data in the React component. So basically, how can we use this project list here? How can we get this information? Like when you go to the use selector is the key to get all the data that is coming from our store into the component. So this is actually the component is getting all the project list. Okay, and we can get each of the information, like its variable, like its project success loading inside this project list. We can get all of information, and this is the same thing that actually we're gonna use inside this application. As you can see, projects.map, we're gonna get all the data. But how we get on the data? Only when we dispatch some event. We just call this action, then we get the data. So till then, take care, bye bye. I'll see you in the next video with more awesome content, and just watch and like and subscribe as much as possible, and share to the groups so that I could get a lot of motivations and create complex projects with you and give you much better content in the near future. So till then, take care, bye bye.